2 weeks had passed since the first meeting. Above ground, the aliens were working miracles. Dead rivers ran clean. Poisoned soil grew flowers. The air was getting better every day. People from the underground cities started going to the surface again. Some had not seen the sun for 20 years. But Taeho could not sleep. Something was wrong. He felt it in his bones like an old injury before a storm. The other leaders were too happy. They were making plans to evacuate millions of people. They were choosing who would go first and who would have to wait. They trusted the aliens completely. Dongwoo was spending 18 hours a day at his radio equipment. The aliens had given him better tools to listen to their communications. They said it would help with the evacuation planning. But Taeho had asked him to do something else. Something secret. Any luck? Taeho asked, entering the communication room. Dongwoo looked tired and worried. Maybe. I have been trying to break their encryption. The aliens talk to each other when they think we cannot hear. Their language is very complex, but I am learning it. What do they say? That is the problem. I can only understand small pieces. But the pieces I understand. Dongwoo stopped and looked around to make sure they were alone. They use words that do not sound good. They talk about processing and harvesting and quality assessment. Taeho felt cold. Those were not words that people used when talking about rescue operations. Are you sure? No. That is why I have not told anyone else yet. Their language might work differently than ours. Maybe those words mean something good in their culture. But Taeho did not think so. He had learned to trust his instincts during his years as a soldier. His instincts were screaming that something was very wrong. Keep working on it, but be careful. Do not let them know what you are doing. Taeho left the communication room and went to find Hyejin. She was in the science lab, studying samples of the cleaned soil and water that the aliens had made. Her face was serious as she looked through her microscope. What do you see? Taeho asked. Something strange. The cleaning the aliens are doing is not real. Not completely real. What do you mean? Hyejin showed him charts and numbers on her computer screen. The soil looks healthy on top, but dig down even a little bit and it is still poisoned. The water is clean for now, but it will not stay clean. The poison is still there, just hidden underneath. So they are lying? Not lying exactly. They really are cleaning things. But it is temporary, like putting makeup on a sick person. It looks good, but it does not cure the sickness. This was more bad news. If the aliens could really heal worlds, why would their healing be fake? Unless they were not really trying to heal anything. Unless they were just making things look good for a while. There is something else, Hyejin said. I have been studying the alien technology they left behind. The tools they use for cleaning. They are very advanced, but they are also very specific, like they were designed for one exact purpose. What purpose? I think they are designed to make environments safe for certain alien species. Not for humans. The cleaned areas are perfect for the aliens, but they might not be good for us in the long run. Taeho felt the cold feeling growing in his chest. Do you think they are planning to take our planet? I do not know, but I think we should find out before we let them take us away to their colony worlds. That night, Taeho called a secret meeting. He invited only people he trusted completely. Sora came looking worried. Dongwoo brought his radio equipment. Hyejin carried her research notes. I think the aliens are not what they seem, Taeho said. I think they are lying to us. Sora shook her head. They are saving us, Taeho. Look at what they have done to the surface. For the first time in decades, people can breathe the air and drink the water. The cleaning is fake, Hyejin said. It will not last. And it is not designed for humans anyway. Their communications are strange too, Dongwoo added. They use words that sound more like they are talking about a business than a rescue. Sora was quiet for a long time. She was a smart woman who had kept 50,000 people alive in the underground. She did not make decisions quickly. Finally, she spoke. Even if you are right, what can we do? Their technology is far beyond ours. Their ships could destroy our cities without effort. If they want to hurt us, they do not need to lie about it. Unless they need us to cooperate, Taeho said. Maybe they need us to come willingly. Maybe their plan does not work if we fight back. But why would they need that? It was a good question, one that none of them could answer. Over the next few days, Dongwoo worked harder than ever to understand the alien communications. He barely slept. He barely ate. But slowly, piece by piece, he began to understand more of their language. Then he made the discovery that changed everything. It was late at night when he burst into Taeho's room. His face was white with fear. "I understand them now," Dongwu said. "I know what they are really saying." They gathered in the communication room. Dongwu played a recording of alien voices. The sounds were strange and musical, but his computer translated them into human words. "The harvest quality on this planet is excellent. The specimens have the right amount of stress hormones from living in toxic environments. The fear and desperation will enhance the flavor significantly." Taeho felt sick. "Flavor?" Dongwu played another recording. "The processing facilities on Colony World 7 are ready. We can handle up to 50 million specimens per cycle. The previous species from the dying ocean world were acceptable, but these land dwellers should be much better." Another recording. "Make sure the specimens believe they are being saved. Willing livestock always tastes better than forced livestock. The gratitude adds a chemical component that our customers find very appealing." The room became completely silent. Even the sound of the air filters seemed to stop. "Livestock." The aliens were calling humans livestock. "They eat people," Sora whispered. "Not just eat," Dongwu said. "They collect them. From dying worlds, they let the worlds get sick and poisoned so the people become desperate. Then they offer to rescue them. The people are so grateful that they come willingly onto the ships, and then they become food. For alien species that think intelligent creatures from dying worlds are a delicacy." Heejin was looking through her research notes with new understanding. "That is why their cleaning technology is so specific. They are not trying to save our world. They are trying to keep us healthy until they can take us away, like farmers keeping their animals fed until slaughter time." The terrible truth was becoming clear. The Kethmoran Collective was not a rescue organization. They were farmers, and humans were their crop. "How many?" Taeho asked. "How many species have they done this to?" Dongwu played more recordings. The aliens talked about their past harvests like a business discussing successful quarters. Ocean worlds, forest worlds, desert worlds, ice worlds. 47 different species. Billions and billions of intelligent creatures, all of them grateful to be rescued. All of them trusting their saviors right up until the end. "We have to warn everyone," Sora said. "Will they believe us?" Heejin asked. "The other leaders are already making evacuation plans. Millions of people are getting ready to leave Earth. They think the aliens are angels come to save them." It was true. In the weeks since the aliens arrived, hope had returned to the underground cities. People were smiling again. Children were playing games about traveling to new worlds. Adults were talking about futures they had not dared to dream about for decades. How could they tell them that it was all a lie? How could they tell them that their saviors were actually monsters who planned to eat them? "We need proof," Taeho said. "Something more than just translated conversations. Something that will make people listen." "I might be able to get it," Dongwu said, "if I can break into their main computer systems. I might find records of their previous harvests. Pictures, documents, evidence that cannot be denied." "That sounds dangerous." "Everything is dangerous now. If we do nothing, everyone dies anyway. At least this way we have a chance." Taeho looked around at his friends. They were scared, but they were determined. They had spent decades keeping people alive in the underground. "They were not going to stop now. Do it," Taeho said. "Get the proof. But be careful. If they find out what we know..." He did not finish the sentence. They all knew what would happen if the aliens discovered that some humans were not fooled by their rescue act. The gentle, glowing saviors would show their true faces, and Taeho had a feeling that their true faces would be much less beautiful than the masks they were wearing now. Outside, the cleaned air was cool and sweet. Above ground, people walked under stars they had not seen for years. The alien ships hummed with quiet activity as they prepared for the great evacuation. In 1 month, the first 10 million humans would board those ships. They would go willingly, happily, believing they were being saved, unless Taeho and his friends could stop it. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin. But the aliens did not know they were in a war yet. They still thought humans were just grateful animals waiting to be harvested. That mistake might be the only advantage humanity had. The ships came exactly when they said they would. 15 days after the first message, the dark clouds above Seoul parted like curtains. Through the gap, everyone could see them. Huge silver ships that looked like floating cities. They were beautiful in a way that hurt to look at. Clean and bright against the poisoned sky. Dongwu had not slept for 3 days. His radio equipment had been busy the whole time. Messages came from the ships. Messages went to underground cities all over the world. Everyone was talking at once. Everyone was scared and excited and hopeful. They are landing in 12 locations, Dongwu reported to the others. One ship for each major underground city. Seoul, Tokyo, London, New York, Moscow, Cairo, and 6 others. Taeho watched the big screen that showed the surface above them. The ship over Seoul was landing slowly in what used to be the city center. The place was empty now. Nothing lived there anymore. Even the buildings were mostly gone, eaten away by the acid rain. But when the ship landed, something amazing happened. The air around it began to clear. The yellow poison clouds moved away. The ground stopped smoking. For the first time in decades, Taeho could see blue sky through the hole in the clouds. How are they doing that? Heejin asked. She was studying the readings from their sensors. The air is actually getting cleaner. The radiation levels are dropping. This should not be possible. The ship was enormous up close. It was bigger than the old Seoul Stadium had been. Its surface was smooth like glass but stronger than any metal humans had ever made. Strange lights moved across it in patterns that almost looked like writing. Then a door opened. Not a door like humans would make. It just appeared in the smooth wall, like the metal was melting away. Light came from inside the ship. Clean, white light that did not hurt to look at. The first alien to come out was tall and thin, much taller than any human. Its skin glowed with soft light like the moon. It had long arms and legs and a face that was almost human but not quite. Its eyes were larger and darker than human eyes. It wore clothes that looked like they were made of light itself. Behind it came more aliens, all tall and glowing and graceful. They moved like dancers or like people walking underwater. There were 12 of them in total. They stopped at the edge of their ship and waited. Then one of them spoke. Its voice came from speakers somewhere, translated into human language. Greetings, humans of Seoul. I am High Coordinator Velthar of the Kethmaran Collective. We have come to save you. The words went through the communication system to every person in Seoul Underground. 50,000 people heard them at the same time. Some people cried. Some people cheered. Some people just stared at their screens and could not believe what they were seeing. Taeho was one of the people who stared. We know your world is dying, Velthar continued. We have seen this happen before to other worlds. Other species like yourselves. We have the technology to give you new homes. Clean worlds with fresh air and pure water. Worlds where your children can run in green fields under safe skies. The alien gestured with one long arm. The air around the ship became even cleaner. Plants began to grow from the dead ground. Real plants with green leaves and bright flowers. Plants that had not been seen on Earth's surface for 30 years. This is just a small example of what we can do, Velthar said. We have prepared colony worlds for your people. Beautiful worlds with everything you need. All we ask is that you trust us. Come with us. Let us save you from this dying place. More aliens were coming out of the ship now. These ones carried devices that looked like tools. They began working on the ground and the air. Everywhere they worked, the poison went away. Dead soil became rich and dark. Toxic water became clear and sweet. In underground cities around the world, the same thing was happening. 12 ships, 12 teams of glowing aliens, 12 demonstrations of miracle technology that could heal a dying world in hours. The messages came flooding in through Dongwu's radio equipment. The leaders of every underground city were talking at once. Most of them were excited. Most of them wanted to believe. How could they not? For the first time in decades, there was hope. They want to meet with representatives from each city, Dongwu reported, face to face, to explain their plan. So-Ra was already preparing to go to the surface. As the administrator of Seoul Underground, it was her job to speak for everyone. But Taeho stopped her. I should go, he said. I am military. If this is a trap, I might see it coming. It is not a trap, Dongwu said. He sounded sure. Look what they are doing. They are healing our world. Why would they do that if they wanted to hurt us? But Taeho was not convinced. He had been fooled by people who seemed helpful before. In the old world, before everything died, there had been many people who promised to save everyone. Most of them had been lying. Still, he had to admit the aliens were impressive. Their technology was far beyond anything humans had ever built. If they wanted to hurt humans, they probably did not need to lie about it. They could just do it. Taeho put on his surface suit and took the elevator up. He had not been above ground for 2 years. The last time he had nearly died from the poison. But when the elevator doors opened, he could breathe. The air was clean. Not perfectly clean, but clean enough that his suit was not needed. The alien ship sat in the middle of what used to be downtown Seoul. Around it, the dead city was coming back to life. Grass was growing between broken concrete. Trees were sprouting from cracks in the walls. The sky above was blue with white clouds instead of yellow with poison. Velthar was waiting for him at the edge of the ship. Up close, the alien was even more impressive. It was at least 7 feet tall. Its glowing skin made soft light patterns that seemed to respond to its thoughts. Its large dark eyes looked at Taeho with what seemed like kindness. "You are the representative of Seoul?" Velthar asked. "I am Taeho Kim. I speak for the people below." "Good. Please come inside our ship. We have much to discuss." Taeho hesitated. Once he went inside the ship, he would be completely at their mercy. But he could not learn anything by staying outside. He followed Velthar through the door that appeared in the smooth wall. The inside of the ship was more beautiful than anything Taeho had ever seen. The walls glowed with soft light. The floors felt warm and comfortable under his feet. The air smelled like flowers and rain. Everything was clean and perfect and peaceful. Other humans were there too, representatives from other underground cities around the world. They all looked amazed and hopeful. None of them looked worried. Velthar led them to a large room with windows that showed the Earth from space. The planet looked terrible from up there, brown and yellow and sick, covered with clouds of poison. It was hard to believe that people still lived there. "This is why we have come," Velthar said, pointing at the dying planet. "Your world cannot be saved. Not completely. We can heal small areas, as you have seen, but the damage is too great. Too much poison, too much destruction. Your species will not survive here much longer." The alien touched something on the wall. The windows changed to show other worlds. Beautiful worlds with blue oceans and green continents. Worlds with clean air and bright suns. "These are the colony worlds we have prepared for you," Velthar explained. 7 worlds total. Each one can support billions of your people. The climate is perfect. The soil is rich. There are no diseases or dangers. Your children will grow up healthy and happy. It sounded too good to be true. But looking at the images of those beautiful worlds, Taeho almost believed it. Almost. "What do you want in return?" he asked. Velthar looked surprised by the question. We want nothing. We give this gift freely. It is our way. The strong help the weak. The advanced help the primitive. We have done this many times before for many species." "How many times?" 47 species so far. All safely relocated to better worlds. All living better lives than they ever could have on their dying homeworlds. The number impressed the other humans. 47 rescues. That meant the aliens had a lot of experience. They knew what they were doing, but something about it bothered Taeho. If the aliens were so good at helping people, why were there still dying worlds? Why had so many species needed rescuing? "The evacuation will begin in 1 month," Velthar continued. "We will take 10 million people from each major city first. Then we will return for more. Within 2 years, every human will have a new home among the stars, 10 million people. From Seoul alone, that was much more than lived in the underground. It meant they would have to convince surface survivors to come too. People who had been hiding in ruins and caves. People who might not trust aliens any more than Taeho did. But looking around at the other representatives, Taeho saw that most of them were already convinced. They were nodding and smiling. They were ready to pack up their entire cities and leave Earth forever. Maybe he was wrong to be suspicious. Maybe the aliens really were just trying to help. Maybe this was humanity's chance to start over on clean worlds under safe skies. But as the meeting continued, and as Velthar showed them more images of the beautiful colony worlds, Taeho noticed something strange. In all the images there were no people, no buildings, no signs that anyone had ever lived on those worlds before. What had happened to the other 47 species that had been rescued? Dongwoo's hands shook as he worked at his computer. For 3 days he had been trying to break into the alien ship's main systems. It was the most dangerous thing he had ever done. If the aliens caught him, they would know that humans had discovered their true plan. "I am close," he whispered to Taeho. "Their security is strong, but it was not designed for human thinking. We approach problems differently than they do." Taeho stood guard at the door. Outside, the preparations for evacuation continued. The aliens had brought huge transport ships down to Earth's surface. People from all over the world were gathering at the landing sites. They brought their families and their most important possessions. They were ready to start new lives on distant worlds if only they knew the truth. Got it, Dongwu said suddenly, his computer screen filled with alien text and images. I am inside their database. The first files were exactly what they had feared. Records of 47 previous harvests. Planet after planet, species after species, all of them lured away from their dying worlds with promises of salvation. The images were terrible. Creatures that looked like walking trees, cut into pieces in giant processing facilities. Ocean-dwelling beings like dolphins with hands hanging from hooks in vast storage rooms. Flying creatures with rainbow wings packed into containers like cargo. And worse than the images were the business records. Prices per pound of meat, quality ratings based on intelligence levels and stress hormones, customer reviews from alien species who enjoyed eating thinking creatures from dying worlds. They are not just killers, Dongwu said, his voice sick with horror. They are a business. They sell death. But the worst discovery was still to come. In the deepest parts of the alien database, Dongwu found something that made his blood freeze. Taeho, he said. Look at this. The file was labeled Earth Project Final Phase. Inside were detailed maps of Earth after the harvest was complete. The cleaned areas around the landing sites were marked for alien colonization. The poisoned areas were marked for industrial development. The aliens were not just planning to eat humanity. They were planning to take Earth too. They made our world sick on purpose, Dongwu realized. Look at these dates. They have been watching Earth for 200 years. Every time we started to fix our environment, something went wrong. New diseases, new pollution, new wars. They made sure we stayed weak and desperate. Taeho felt rage burning in his chest. The aliens had not just found a dying world. They had killed it themselves. Slowly, carefully over centuries. They had poisoned the air and water. They had started the wars that destroyed governments. They had made humanity suffer for 200 years, also they could swoop in as saviors at the perfect moment. Download everything, Taeho ordered. Every file, every image, every piece of evidence. While Dongwu worked, Taeho contacted the other members of their secret resistance. Sora was spreading the word carefully to trusted people in Seoul Underground. Hyojin was analyzing the alien technology, looking for weaknesses. But their time was running out. The first evacuation ships would launch in just 2 weeks. 10 million humans from around the world would climb aboard those ships thinking they were going to paradise. Instead, they would be going to slaughter. We have to stop the evacuations, Sora said when they met that night. Even if people do not believe us about the aliens being monsters, we have to delay the departures somehow. How? Hyojin asked. The other leaders are completely convinced. They think the aliens are humanity's salvation. They will not listen to us without absolute proof. We have proof now, Taeho said. Show them the database files. They will say we made them up, or that we misunderstood, or that the translations are wrong. People believe what they want to believe, and they want to believe in the aliens. It was true. Hope was a powerful drug. After decades of despair, people were not going to give up their dreams of a better life easily. Then we do not convince them, Taeho said. We save them anyway. How? Taeho had been thinking about this for days. He was a soldier. He understood tactics and strategy. The aliens were stronger and more advanced, but they had weaknesses too. Their plan only works if we cooperate. They need us to come willingly onto their ships. They need us to be grateful and trusting right up until the end. That makes their food taste better. So we make sure they do not get what they need. We make their rescue mission into a war. Hyojin looked worried. They could destroy us easily if they wanted to, but they do not want to. Dead humans are not as valuable as live ones. Angry humans probably taste different than grateful ones. If we fight back, we ruin their product. It was a desperate plan, but it was all they had. Over the next week, Taeho began to build a resistance network. Not just in Seoul, but in underground cities around the world. He used Dongwu's radio equipment to contact people he trusted, former soldiers mostly. People who had spent their lives protecting others. The message was simple. The aliens were not saviors. They were predators, and humanity had to fight back. Some people listened. Not many, but enough. In London Underground, a woman named Sarah Chen began sabotaging the evacuation preparations. In Moscow Underground, a man called Ivan Petrov started spreading doubts about the alien rescue. Small groups of resistance fighters formed in cities across the world, but they needed more than just people. They needed weapons and plans, and most importantly, They needed to understand how to hurt the aliens. That was where Hyojin's research became crucial. "I have been studying the alien technology they left behind," she reported. "Their tools, their air cleaners, their healing devices. They are incredibly advanced, but they have a weakness." "What kind of weakness?" "They are designed for clean environments. The aliens evolved on worlds with pure air and water. Their technology works perfectly in those conditions. But Earth is not clean. Even with their temporary fixes, our world is still poisoned. Still toxic, still dangerous." Tejo began to understand. "You think the poison can hurt them?" "I think it can kill them. Their biological filters are not designed for the specific toxins we have on Earth, especially the radioactive compounds and the industrial chemicals that have been building up for centuries. To them, our world really is a death trap. But they are cleaning the areas around their ships. Only the surface, only temporarily, and only in small areas. If we could overwhelm their cleaning systems, if we could expose them to the full toxicity of Earth." Hyojin smiled grimly. "They might find out why our world is dying in the first place. It was a crazy idea. Use Earth's own sickness as a weapon against the aliens who had created that sickness. Fight poison with poison." But crazy ideas were all they had left. Tejo began making plans. The first evacuation was scheduled to begin in Seoul in just 1 week. 10 million people would gather at the landing site. They would board the alien transport ships with joy and gratitude, unless the resistance could stop them. The plan was complex and dangerous. They would need to sabotage the alien cleaning systems at exactly the right moment. They would need to expose the aliens to concentrated doses of Earth's most toxic compounds. They would need to do it all without getting themselves killed in the process. Most importantly, they would need to do it in a way that showed the world what the aliens really were. Not saviors, but monsters. Not healers, but killers. "Are we really going to do this?" Sora asked. "Are we really going to attack beings with technology far beyond ours?" "They attacked us first," Tejo replied. 200 years ago, when they started poisoning our world. We are just fighting back. But if we fail, humanity dies anyway. At least this way we die fighting." The others nodded. They had all lived through the worst years in human history. They had all seen what happened to people who gave up hope and waited for someone else to save them. The aliens thought humans were weak. They thought humans were desperate animals who would do anything for a chance at survival. They thought gratitude would make humans taste better. In 6 days they would learn how wrong they were. The war for Earth was about to begin. And the aliens had no idea that their prey had teeth. Above ground, the evacuation preparations continued. Families said goodbye to the dead world they had called home. Children practiced pronouncing the names of their new planets. Adults planned what they would do in their new lives among the stars. None of them knew that some humans were planning something very different. Not evacuation, but extermination. Not rescue, but revenge. The countdown had begun. The morning of the first evacuation began like a celebration. 10 million humans from around the world had gathered at the alien landing sites. They came with suitcases and children and dreams of new worlds. Above Seoul, the massive transport ship waited with its doors open like a mouth ready to swallow them all. Velthar stood at the entrance to the ship, glowing and beautiful and welcoming. The alien's tall form was surrounded by soft light that made everyone feel peaceful and grateful. Thousands of humans were already walking up the ramps into the ship's belly. But Tejo was not among them. He crouched in the ruins of an old building, watching through binoculars as his plan unfolded. Around the city, his resistance fighters were in position. They had spent the last week preparing for this moment, preparing to turn humanity's rescue into the aliens' funeral. "Teams report ready." Sora's voice crackled through his radio. She was coordinating the attack from Seoul Underground. "Dongwu in position," came another voice. The young communications expert had hacked into the alien ship's control systems. When the time came, he would turn their own technology against them. "Yejin standing by," the scientist reported. She had prepared the real weapon, the poison that would kill their would-be saviors. Tejo took a deep breath. Around the world, resistance cells were preparing to strike at the same moment. In London, Moscow, Tokyo, New York, and 8 other cities. 12 simultaneous attacks on 12 alien ships. The aliens thought they were harvesting grateful livestock. They were about to learn that humans were apex predators. "Execute," Tejo said into his radio. The first part of the plan was sabotage. In the underground tunnels beneath Seoul, He-Jin's team destroyed the power lines that fed the alien cleaning systems. All around the landing site, the temporary paradise began to fall apart. The grass started turning brown. The clear streams became muddy. The sweet air filled with the old familiar stink of poison and death. Earth's true face began to show through the alien makeup, but that was just the beginning. The second part of the plan was much worse. While the cleaning systems failed, Dongwu activated the industrial waste pumps that had been hidden in the old subway tunnels. Concentrated toxins flowed up from deep underground. Radioactive water from long-abandoned nuclear plants. Chemical sludge from decades of industrial accidents. The worst poisons that Earth could produce, all flowing toward the alien landing site. The aliens noticed immediately. Their glowing skin began to flicker and dim. Their graceful movements became jerky and panicked. Velthar spoke rapidly into a communication device, calling for help in the musical alien language. But help was not coming. Around the world, every other alien landing site was experiencing the same attack. 12 carefully planned assaults using Earth's own toxicity as a weapon. The humans who were boarding the ships began to panic too. They could smell the poison rising from the ground. They could see their alien saviors stumbling and falling. Some tried to run back toward the ships. Others fled toward the underground cities, but Tejo was not done yet. The third part of the plan was the most dangerous. While the aliens were weakened by Earth's poisons, human fighters attacked their technology directly. Teams of resistance members, protected by heavy suits and breathing masks, stormed the landing sites with weapons they had built from scrap metal in desperation. The alien tools and devices were incredibly advanced, but they had been designed for clean, safe environments. When exposed to Earth's concentrated toxins, they began to malfunction. Sparks flew from control panels. Cleaning robots collapsed in twitching heaps. The beautiful glowing ship started to smoke and spark. Velthar tried to retreat into the transport ship, but Dongwu had locked the doors from the outside. The alien was trapped on the surface of the dying world it had helped to poison. "You did this," Tejo said, walking out of the ruins to face the alien. He wore a full environmental suit and carried weapons made from pieces of the old world. "You poisoned our planet. You killed billions of our people. You turned our home into a death trap so you could come here as saviors." Velthar's glowing skin was now a sickly yellow color. The alien struggled to breathe in the toxic air that humans had learned to survive in. "You do not understand," Velthar gasped. "We are saving you. Your world is dying." "Because you killed it," Tejo replied. "We found your records. 200 years of subtle sabotage. Every time we started to heal our environment, you made sure something went wrong. You needed us desperate so we would be grateful to be rescued." Around them, other aliens were collapsing. Their advanced biology could not adapt to Earth's specific cocktail of poisons. What had taken humans decades of suffering to build immunity against was killing the aliens in minutes. We were helping you," Velthar insisted, even as the alien's legs gave out and it fell to its knees. "You were farming us," Tejo said, "like livestock. But you made one mistake. You assumed that just because our world was dying, that meant we were weak. You forgot that the things that make a world deadly also make the people living there very, very dangerous." The truth was spreading across the planet now. The database files that Dongwu had stolen were being broadcast to every underground city. Images of the 47 previous harvests, records of the alien business deals, proof that the rescue was really a trap. The grateful, hopeful humans became angry and betrayed humans very quickly. And angry humans were not good livestock at all. Some aliens tried to escape in their ships, but the human attacks had damaged too many critical systems. Ships that had crossed the galaxy crashed into Earth's poisoned soil. Others managed to reach orbit, but found human fighters waiting for them there. Because the fourth part of Tejo's plan was the most ambitious of all. While the aliens had been focused on their rescue theater, humans had been quietly learning to use alien technology. Every tool left behind, every device given as a gift, had been studied and copied and improved. Now human ships, built from reverse-engineered alien designs but hardened against Earth's toxicity, hunted the retreating collective fleet through space. The aliens had come to harvest a primitive species, but they found themselves being hunted by apex predators who had learned to use their own weapons against them. The battle raged for 3 days. In space, on Earth's surface, and in the underground cities where the aliens had never expected resistance. When it was over, the Kethmaran collective was no more. Their ships were wrecked. Their crews were dead or fled. Their business model was destroyed. But more importantly, the galaxy now knew the truth about what humans really were. Tae-ho stood on the surface of Sol, breathing air that was slowly getting cleaner. Not because of alien technology, but because humans were finally free to heal their own world. The alien cleaning systems had been temporary, but human engineering was built to last. Dongwu had modified the alien communication networks to broadcast a message to every species in the galaxy. It was simple and direct. This is Earth. We are not a rescue case. We are not livestock. We are not victims waiting for salvation. We are the species that survived a dying world and turned it into a weapon. We are the species that took on technology far more advanced than our own and won. Earth is not a place to be saved from. Earth is a death world, and humans are what death worlds create. Consider yourselves warned. The message was transmitted continuously in every language the alien computers could manage. Within months, it would reach civilizations across the galaxy. Some would be horrified. Some would be impressed. All would be very, very careful about how they approached the small blue planet in the corner of a minor spiral arm. Years later, Tae-ho would help build the memorial to the failed alien rescue. It stood in the center of New Seoul, which was built on the ruins of the old city but extended proudly into the clean air above ground. The memorial was simple. Just a chunk of alien metal from one of their crashed ships, surrounded by gardens where earth plants grew in soil that was finally healing. And on the metal was carved a message in human languages and alien script. Here lies the Kethmaran Collective, who came to save humanity, and discovered instead what happens when predators pretend to be prey. Children played around the memorial during the day. At night, it broadcast Dongwu's warning message to the stars over and over, so that no one in the galaxy would ever again mistake Earth for an easy target. The planet was still scarred. The healing would take generations, but it was humanity's planet to heal now in their own way, on their own terms, and if anyone else came looking for grateful livestock to harvest, they would find something very different waiting for them. They would find humans, and humans were no one's prey. The red warning lights flashed in the deep underground tunnel. Tae-ho Kim pulled his breathing mask tighter against his face. The air outside was bad today, very bad. He could hear the acid rain hitting the metal doors above them like angry fingers tapping on a drum. Another storm coming, so Ra-Choi said from behind her computer screen. Her fingers moved fast across the keyboard. Numbers and charts filled the screen. All of them showed the same thing. The air outside was getting worse. The water was getting worse. Everything was getting worse. Tae-ho nodded but said nothing. He had been a soldier once, back when there were still armies that fought on the surface, back when people could still live above ground without dying from the poison in the air. That was 20 years ago. Now he kept the underground city of Seoul safe. It was not much of a city, just tunnels and rooms dug deep into the earth, but it was home for 50,000 people who had nowhere else to go. The underground was not pretty. The walls were gray concrete. Water dripped from the ceiling in some places. The air smelled like machines and recycled breath, but it was safe. The thick rock and metal above them kept out the poison. The air filters worked most of the time. The water was clean enough to drink. It was better than the surface world. Tae-ho walked through the main tunnel. People moved around him like ghosts. They wore gray clothes and gray faces. Children played with toys made from scrap metal. Old people sat in corners and remembered better times. Everyone looked tired. Everyone looked sad. But they were alive. He stopped at the communication room. A young man named Dongwu Lee sat in front of a wall of screens and radio equipment. Dongwu was 25 years old. He had been born in the underground. He had never seen a blue sky or a green tree, but he was the best radio operator they had. Anything new from the other cities? Tae-ho asked. Dongwu shook his head. Same as always. Tokyo Underground is running low on medicine. London Underground lost another air filter. New York Underground wants to trade food for spare parts. This was how the world worked now. Cities under the ground. Cities that talked to each other through radio waves. Cities that helped each other stay alive one more day. The surface world was dead. The governments were gone. The armies were gone. Only the underground cities remained. Tae-ho was about to leave when Dongwu held up his hand. The young man put on his headphones and listened carefully. His eyes grew wide. Sir, Dongwu said, I am getting something strange. It is not from any of our cities. You know what kind of strange? Dongwu moved some switches on his equipment. A sound came from the speakers. It was not like human radio. It was different. It had patterns that moved up and down like music. But it was not music. It was something else. It is coming from space, Dongwu said. High above us, very high. And it is very strong, much stronger than anything we can make. Taeho felt cold inside his chest. In the old days, before the world died, people used to dream about signals from space. They used to hope that someone out there would talk to them. But now the idea scared him. The world had enough problems already. Can you understand it? Taeho asked. I am trying. It repeats every few minutes. Always the same pattern. Wait. Dongwu typed quickly on his computer. The strange sounds became numbers on his screen. I think it is some kind of language, but not like any human language. Taeho called Sora on his radio. Come to the communication room. Bring Hee-jin with you. Hee-jin Park arrived first. She was a scientist who worked on the air filters and water cleaners. She was very smart. She could fix almost anything. But even she could not fix the broken world above them. What is happening? Hee-jin asked. Dongwu played the strange sounds again. Hee-jin listened carefully. Her face became very serious. This is artificial, she said. Made by someone. Something with very advanced technology, much more advanced than ours. Sora arrived and heard the explanation. She was the person who made sure the underground city had enough food and water and power. She was good at solving problems. But this was not a problem anyone had solved before. Could it be from another underground city? Sora asked. Maybe one we do not know about? Hee-jin shook her head. No human technology can send signals this strong from this far away. This is coming from space. Real space. Far above the Earth. The four of them looked at each other. For 40 years, humans had been alone on their dying world. They had given up hope that anyone else existed. They had stopped looking at the stars because the sky was always dark with poison clouds. But now someone was trying to talk to them. Dongwu worked for 3 hours. He used every trick he knew about radio and computers. Slowly, the strange sounds began to make sense. They became words. Not human words, but words that could be understood. I think I have it, Dongwu said. His voice was shaking. Listen to this. The computer spoke in a voice that sounded almost human. But it was too perfect. Too clean. Like a machine trying to sound like a person. Greetings, inhabitants of the third planet. We are the Kethmoran Collective. We have been watching your world. We see that your environment is failing. Your species is in danger. We wish to help. Prepare for our arrival. We will save you from your dying world. The room became very quiet. Even the sound of the air filters seemed to stop. Taeho felt his heart beating fast. Sora sat down heavily in a chair. Hee-jin stared at the computer screen like it might bite her. They want to help us, Dongwu said quietly. But Taeho was not so sure. He had been a soldier. He had learned not to trust anyone who said they wanted to help for no reason. The world was full of people who said nice things and did terrible things. Why? Taeho asked. Why would they help us? Maybe they are good, Dongwu said. Maybe they help everyone. Hee-jin was thinking hard. She always thought hard when something did not make sense. How long have they been watching us? How do they know about our environment problems? The message says they will arrive soon, Sora said. How soon is soon? Dongwu listened to the signal again. It repeats every 10 minutes. But there is more now. New parts. He worked with his equipment for a few more minutes. They say their ships are coming. They will be here in 15 days. 15 days. That was not very long. Not long enough to prepare for something this big. Not long enough to warn everyone. Not long enough to decide if this was good news or bad news. We need to tell the other cities, Sora said. We need to be careful, Taeho said. We do not know who these people are. We do not know what they really want. But even as he said it, Taeho felt a small piece of hope growing inside him. Maybe, just maybe, someone really did want to help them. Maybe there was still a chance for the human race. Maybe the children in the underground would see the sun again. The red warning lights kept flashing. The acid rain kept falling. The world kept dying. But now they were not alone. Above them, in the dark sky that no one had looked at for years, ships were coming. Big ships. Ships full of strangers who said they wanted to help. In 15 days, everything would change. Taeho just hoped it would change for the better.